and good morning, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our speaker of the session, Nikita Dhawan. Nikita Dhawan is a grade 11 student at the American Embassy School in New Delhi. She is the co-founder of animal welfare organization called Youth for Animal. Their organization is strongly against animal cruelty and work towards animal protection and advocacy. Presently, they are working on a campaign to rescue and rehab Shankar, an African elephant who has been in solitary confinement for 16 years in the Delhi Zoo. Nikita Dhawan will share what drives her to work in this space, why and how she built the platform Youth for Animals, the message she would like to give us, how she gathers support from various organizations and influencers, and her future plans with respect to this platform. Over to you, Nikita.
Thank you so much, Fiapro, for giving me the privilege and opportunity to share my story here today. Hi, I'm Nikita, an 11th grade student who founded Youth for Animals, an initiative for young people to advocate for animal welfare. We are running a campaign for the release of Shankar, an African elephant at the Delhi Zoo who has been solitary for 16 years. So we all vividly remember the feeling of being confined in our homes during the pandemic. We felt pain, isolation, and anger at our lack of freedom. While I was feeling this myself, I had a realization that captive animals go through this every day. And it's not even for their safety like it was for us, but for humans' entertainment. This was one of the moments that inspired me to go beyond and explore the darker, more twisted truth of animal treatment in India. So during my internship with World Animal Protection India, I researched and wrote articles about the ill treatment of elephants in India. What struck me was the process of the crush to break the elephant's spirit, where they're chained and constantly beaten for 72 hours. We continue to sugarcoat our adoration and respect for elephants in India, yet it is ironic that our words do not reflect our actions. When I saw what was behind the scenes of animal treatment and exploitation for our needs, I knew I wanted to take action. I became immersed in the treatment of captive elephants in India, from zoos to festivals to private ownership. Along the way, I was fascinated by how similar elephants are to humans and how cognitively complex they are. They're sentient beings who feel just like us. For example, elephant can grieve a close death, just like we do. They are like us, incredibly social animals who travel in herds and have complex social structures, and even bond with each other to form lifelong friendships. Not only are they emotionally aware, but are also highly intelligent. For example, Happy, a captive elephant in the Bronx Zoo in New York, was able to recognize herself in a mirror, a clear sign of self-awareness. Because of the complexity of elephants, they require constant stimulation, intellectual stimulation, and enrichment, something that is restricted in a zoo. As a result of captivity, research shows that their brain neurologically becomes less complex and communicative. A primary sign of this damage is stereotypical or repetitive behavior, like head swaying or head bobbing. And an elephant's physical health is also negatively impacted. In contrast to walking 30 to 50 kilometers a day in the wild to forage for food, in a zoo, an elephant can only walk a couple of kilometers. Elephant can develop foot diseases or have damage to their nails, etc. This thorough research gave me the confidence to speak about this topic and address the problem. I even came across a 2009 CZA circular that banned the exhibition of elephants in zoos. Given that we have so many elephants in zoos, something was obviously wrong. At first, I thought the circular had been revoked, but no, it had just been overlooked and brushed under the carpet in some CZA stakeholder committee meeting. So we found a clear violation of the law and went after it. When I visited the zoo and saw Shankar's solitary state, my heart broke. He showed clear signs of distress and loneliness. In fact, people around me applauded as they mistook his stereotypic behavior for dancing out of happiness. I saw a clear disconnect between the public's perception that he was happy and his actual distress, and it reminded me of why I became invested in animals in the first place. to reveal the truth behind this idolized and shallow treatment of these animals. And my usual thought would be that some other bigger animal welfare organization can fight for Shankar, since it may be too big of a fight, particularly since he is a diplomatic gift to India. But it's been 16 years of his solitary confinement, and there was no point waiting for someone else to take that step. So our first goal was to gather public support and raise awareness, one of the key steps of a campaign. We started an online petition demanding Shankar's release, and as of today, it has 48,000 signatures. We started building our presence on social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all which required constant updates and engagement. One of the lessons I learned in this process is the importance of emotionally involving the community in your cause. Simply having numbers on a petition is not enough to show support. That's when we started posting poems, tweets, art and videos to show that everyone is fighting for the cause. It's not just a one-man show. For example, we launched an art campaign, #ArtForShankar, where kids from age 5 to 10 drew their interpretation of Shankar's confinement. As I'm showing in the picture, here's an example of a 6-year-old girl, Anadia Chowdhury, who was showing her emotion by drawing Shankar behind bars. We also have a wonderful origami craft from a 22-year-old, and even a grandfather who wrote a heartfelt poem on Shankar. We also had a Diwali campaign where kids lit a diya for Shankar. Here's just a short clip of it for you to watch.
Please free Shankar. He shouldn't be captive. I'm lighting this diya for Shankar.
Hi everyone, my name is Shiv, and this Diwali I'll be lighting a candle for Shankar. Shankar is an elephant at the Delhi Zoo who was gifted to India by Zimbabwe in 1998. He's been in captivity ever since, over 23 years. So this Diwali, in hopes that he can reunite with his family and be free from captivity, I'm lighting my candle for Shankar. So join me in doing so.
For this year's Diwali, I'm lighting my candle for Shankar, an elephant stuck and suffocating in captivity. We need to raise awareness for these elephants who are mistreated and are calling for help. Please help them, and happy Diwali.
This Diwali, I would like to raise my voice and talk for Shankar. He deserves to be free of captivity because he's been alone for too long.
It was small projects like these that made a big difference in raising awareness for Shankar. Meanwhile, we were also trying to build a network of animal experts and mentors. Every person I talked to would direct me or give me a contact to someone else. And it was like a chain that, kept going on. What was fascinating is that each person I talked to had a unique insight, which added to my knowledge and confidence to talk to the next person. In fact, in my first conversation with an expert on African elephants, she had offered me a support letter on my campaign. I didn't even know what a support letter was at that time, but because of that conversation, I got the confidence to ask other animal welfare organizations for their support letter. So we received 7 support letters as of now from FIAPO, the Pro Elephant Network, Elephant Specialists International, World Animal Protection, Voice for Asian Elephants, Blue Cross India, and the ELSA Foundation. And there are many more who are helping us informally. Also, through building a network of animal experts, I finally understood the importance of mentorship in practice. It's a constant cycle of learning, taking feedback, and making meaningful decisions. So that was a great experience for me. And while public support is critical, so is a tangible outcome like going to court. It was a challenge reaching out to lawyers and securing their support since our resources are limited as a student-run initiative. Fortunately, we found lawyers who are passionate and dedicated to the cause, who would help us draft a public interest litigation to take to the Delhi High Court. However, there was a lot of preparation that went behind the drafting of the PIL. First, we sent a 23-page letter to the Delhi Zoo asking for Shankar's release, where we compiled many scientific research and articles on the ill effects of captivity. Then to take it to the next level, we researched on the legal requirements and regulations around elephant confinement in India, besides the 2009 CZA guidelines circular, which had banned the exhibition of elephants in zoos. CZA guidelines also mandated that an elephant cannot be kept solitary for more than 6 months. Shankar has been solitary for 16 years, according to the RTI we filed. So it was a clear violation of the rule. We compiled this information into a representation and we sent it to the ministry and the PMO's office. For the PIL itself, we reached out to multiple elephant experts to conduct a veterinary evaluation of Shankar, from a distance or video footage. However, the most essential element we needed before filing the PIL was a solution for Shankar, which was a whole challenge by itself. It was very difficult to find a feasible plan for Shankar's release. Integrating a African bull that has been captive for over 2 decades, it's extremely challenging. But we kept persisting because we wanted to find a home for Shankar where there are other African elephants he can interact with. We wrote to over a dozen sanctuaries in Africa, Europe, and the US. Some did not respond, some were sympathetic but did not have the capacity, while some thought that Shankar would not fit in after his long years of captivity. Many people were doubtful, in fact, saying that it's not feasible to send him overseas or the government would never agree. They were persisting on simply moving Shankar to the nearest shelter. In fact, in response to all the shelter, the zoo said in the Indian Express that they would be willing to move Shankar to a nearby sanctuary. And while we appreciate this response and believe that a domestic sanctuary is a great option for temporary relief, it does not solve the issue of his solitary confinement. While it is crucial to be realistic and logical, we did not want to immediately settle for a suboptimal solution just because we didn't try. That balance is important. And finally, we've received some interest from a internationally renowned organization, which is not only openly open to translocating Shankar to a sanctuary in Africa, but also paid for all of the expenses, which is really incredible. And we hope that when we approach the court, they will be sympathetic to Shankar's cause and release. I think the main lesson I've learned throughout this journey is that advocacy starts with small steps and creates a ripple effect for others. We've started small and local with one elephant. However, this case is not just about Shankar's freedom, but it opens the door to all captive elephants in India. We hope that our campaign inspires others to fight for animal welfare, or any cause for that matter, just like we were inspired by a similar cause. The youth has the power to make a change in our world. You just have to take that first step. And finally, I'd like to close by thanking my team for all the support and help they've provided. We have Nikita, our co-founder, who's been very helpful. Our volunteers range from age 12 to 17. We have, the writers, Anya and Tarani, and artists, Anamika, Pocky, and Tal. And I'd also like to thank the dozen of other, coming and going young volunteers who have selflessly contributed to this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikita.